welcome back. This week we are going to be looking at stretches for, well, splits and hip openers. I like to work both together, and is probably, other than how do I do a forearm stand and a handstand and a headstand, it is the other thing I get asked the most, like how do I stretch for splits? So being an ex-gymnast, I kind of have my gymnastics ways of stretching, and then I have my yoga ways of stretching. So I'll kind of just show you the stuff that I do. So before I sort of throw myself into splits, I always do these stretches. Even though I have flexible hamstrings and flexible hips, it's not good just to throw yourself into an extremely hard flexible position. So here's what we do. So starting with, when I was a gymnast, and you do the same in yoga, so just coming into a low lunge. So we'll start with our right leg in front. You can either have your toe untucked, or if you're like me and have on this leg, I have a quite sore knee, so I like to protect it sometimes by keeping my toe tucked under. Entirely up to you. So what we want to do is to really sink down into that front leg, so our hips are sinking down. You can really feel the stretch all through here. And we take deep breaths. So one thing I have learned that's very different in gymnastics, it was all about bouncing into it, which actually isn't great for you because you can run the risk of injury like that if you bounce a little bit too hard. The best thing I find is to really deep breathe into it, and you'll feel the stretch so much more. So we're here, and we're breathing, and I can feel it. Every time I breathe, I feel the stretch. And then if we want to make that a bit more intense, we can take the opposite hand to the front knee, and the right hand to the back knee, and take a little twist here. And not only are we opening and stretching the hips even more, we're also working through the torso, getting lift through there, lifting upwards and over. So after I've stayed here for a good, if you're working this as just a stretch session, I say that you should stay there for 15 deep breaths. Obviously, if it's part of a yoga flow, then you might want to stay there for 5. And then we just quite easily sit back to stretch out our hamstring. So some people may sort of be here, and that's fine. What's nice is if you've got a strap, mine's in my car, I should have got it out. You can take your strap around your foot. Ooh. And once you've got your balance, you can really work on lengthening the spine and lengthening the hamstring. So I'm quite fortunate that I can come forward, and that's how I get my stretch, by coming down here. And again, taking some really nice deep breaths. So they're your first 2 stretches. You've got a nice hip opener, and then you've got a nice hamstring lengthener. So if you do a bit of yoga already, you'll already know of pigeon pose. So we'll come into half pigeon, where our leg is out in front. So we've got one leg out in front, and now ideally, your lower leg wants to be parallel to the end of your mat. Obviously this is quite hard for a lot of people. You'll find that your leg's down here. If you can, buy yourself a block. It's about £10 and it will change your life. I think this one's from Sweaty Betty, and I think it was £10, and it's so good. So if you are quite tight in the hips and you find that you're kind of all a bit off and a bit bent, what you want to do, you want to take your block underneath your front bum cheek, just to prop you up a bit, and then that gives you the capacity to really open up that front leg and get that stretch all across here, all down here. And we can stay here, or walk the hands forward and take some deep breaths forwards. And again, holding for 15 breaths. Like I said, if you're kind of in the middle of a flow, hold it for sort of 5 or so. But what you do want to hold these stretches for quite a while and really breathe into them to get the kind of maximum out of it. So yeah, so we can take, I'm going to take my block away just because it doesn't feel very comfortable for me. So we're here, we've come forwards. On an inhale, we're coming up. And the reason I say that is because you don't want to jar your back, you really want to kind of use your belly to bring you upwards. And we can just sit into it again, take a little twist if you can, and then swap legs and do it on the other side. So another nice one for my hamstrings is what's called Paschimottanasana in yoga. I'd say for a lot of people, use a strap. Even if you think you don't need a strap, use a strap. Unless you can quite literally fold the whole way over your legs, then you might be fine. But to get the maximum out of this, you really want to be lengthening through the spine. So I'm going to lift my arms up, really lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. So rather than thinking about going down, I'm thinking about going forwards. And then I'm going to stop here. Even though I could do this, but that's not really what I want, and I can't feel that on my hamstrings. I'm going to hold my hands here, really work on lengthening the spine, keeping the legs engaged, and then I can really feel a nice stretch through my hamstrings, but at the same time I know my spine and my neck are really in a really safe position. Okay, another one that I like to do for my hip opening is Baddha Konasana. I'll kind of do it on a diagonal to you so you can see. So bringing the knees out to the side. Don't buy one block, buy 2 blocks actually. And then you can put one underneath your knee here and one underneath your knee here. And that way you can again really work on lengthening forwards, coming down that way. So we're always thinking of lengthening. And here it's really nice, you can use your elbows to push into your legs to get a much deeper stretch all through here. And again, just breathing into it. So none of this, because it's not great on your knees, also not brilliant on your hips, especially if you're not warm. If you're warm, it might be slightly different if you're used to it and you just take a few little bounces. But when your body's cold, you really want to ease yourself into it with the breath. Okay, so one of my other favourite hip openers, this might be for the more flexible amongst us. Actually no, scrap that, it's not. You can just bring your legs closer together. So sitting in a straddle position, so even if your legs are here, I'll do it with my legs here, and just lifting up and coming over. So this is going to work on our hamstrings. Staying here for some deep breaths. And then when you've done this one, just threading that arm under and taking it over to the side. So not only are you getting a nice side stretch, you're getting a hip opening stretch and you're getting a hamstring. So you're getting 3 for the price of 1. So I'm just going to even myself out. So we'd come to here and then we'd come over to the side and then upwards. Feeling a really, really nice stretch. Again, if it's, depending on what it is that you're looking for, whether or not it's like your right or your left splits or box splits, maybe. I used to love sitting like this in gymnastics, and I'd just sit for like 5 minutes. That's probably not ideal, because I'm probably going to seize up after a while. But I get this really nice deep stretch down here, and even if you're up here, and you need to put a hand down, just make sure you're not putting all your weight into your hands, because you really want to be able to feel the stretch in there. So just getting a nice stretch, coming over to the other side. Again, breathing into it. And with these you could even do sort of a inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and keep going side to side, which would be quite nice. So they are my kind of go-to stretches for working splits, and if you keep working it, I think I get so many messages from people like, I've tried stretching and I've tried this, that and the other, and it really, I know it sounds boring, but it takes a lot of time. It is quite boring when you're like, okay, I'm a little bit further, I'm a little bit further, and then finally you will get there. If you are quite deep into your splits but you're just not quite there yet, take 2 blocks either side of you. Now annoyingly I don't have 2 blocks either side of me. Take 2 blocks and use them for your hands. So if you're not quite down, say you're kind of like up here, but that's a bit uncomfortable to be putting on your hands. So you can take your 2 blocks either side and prop yourself up and work on it that way. And then one day, you'll get all the way down. And it will be glorious. And you can be your party trick, like it is mine. Not that I really go to parties anymore, but yes. So there are my hip and hamstring openers that I would do to stretch splits. So I hope you like that, give them a go. Make sure you're warm before doing them. Maybe do a few sun salutations, you know, jog on the spot. Just warm your body up a bit so you're not, or if you're not warm, just go into them slowly, breathe into them, listen to your body and just don't push it. Use props, get yourself some blocks and get some straps because that honestly will help you. There's no point in just doing this because you want your head to be on your knees. If you really want to stretch your hamstrings, you need to be up here with a strap and really feeling it, and you will notice a difference when you have those props. Props are my best friends. I love them. Anyway, that's it from me this week. I hope you liked this. As always, let me know if there's anything else you want to hear about, you want me to chat through, and I will do my best to film it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.